for 33 hours, I was praying that if this had to happen here, that it wouldn't be one of us, that somebody drove from another state, somebody came from another country. Sadly, that prayer was not answered the way I had hoped for.
White people are never, ever, ever going to give up white supremacy willingly. And that's because of the consequences that it would cause if they gave it up. And I'm not talking about mean words related to race. I'm not talking about hurt feelings. I'm talking about systemic white supremacy. White supremacy is all about control of resources. And these resources could be labor, they could be territory, they could be the resources on that territory, like oil or cobalt. It's also about power, legislative power, economic power, cultural power, or influence. And all these different facets of white supremacy have worked together for hundreds of years to put white people in the place they are now. White people are 14 or 15% of the world population. They control 60% of the wealth. In the United States, white people are 60% of the population and control 84.5% of the wealth. Even if you cut out the top 1%, the median household income for white families is $205,000 a year. For black people, it's $44,000 a year. Black people in the United States are about 16% of the population. In 1865, they held 0.5% of the wealth. In 2023, they held 4.2% of the wealth. Africa is 17% of the world's population, but holds less than 2% of global wealth. And I'm bringing up Africa because white supremacy is a global system. And to end global white supremacy, it's necessary to remove the control that white people have over territory that they've taken through white supremacy. A lot of people will conflate race with class, but it's not the same thing at all. In fact, for the territories that are under European occupation, the problem is a race issue, not a class issue primarily. From the perspective of the invaded, when Europeans invaded territory, is it only the rich Europeans that are the problem? No, it's the poor Europeans as well. Let's say you got rid of all the billionaires in Australia. From the Aboriginal Australians' point of view, is the problem over, or are the people that invaded his land still occupying his land? I feel like the reason why people say no war but class war is because the other types of oppression are systems that benefit them. Class is the way that white people are oppressed as a race. Racism is the way that benefits white people as a race. So it makes sense to me that they want to get rid of class instead of talking about race, or they think that getting rid of class will also get rid of race. If we say we want to end white supremacy, but white people will still have the things that they got through white supremacy, then what has really changed? When you stop a thief that is stealing from you, do you let the thief keep what he stole? Of course not. So let's talk about what would happen if the United States redistributed funds equally among the people in the United States in a vacuum. White median household income, $205,000. Black median household income, $44,000. If you redistribute the wealth, these people come down. The average is like $128,000. That would be a huge jump up for black people, but it would be a huge drop for white people. Then you have to consider how the United States gets that wealth in the first place. The United States is 4% of the population, holds 35% of the wealth. So the wealth that the United States has is based on stealing from other people. If you globally redistribute the wealth that the United States has 4% of the wealth. That's a drop of 30%. What would the United States look like then? If you don't want that to happen, then you have to allow the United States to keep doing the evil things that it does all around the world to maintain that percentage of wealth. It's also the same problem as earlier. If the white people took this land, but they get to retain it after white supremacy ends, then how is white supremacy really over? It's not. Also, if we say we want to end white supremacy, but after white supremacy ends, non-white people are still under the control of white people, either legislatively or economically or culturally, then white supremacy hasn't really ended. Now globally, Europeans are 16% of the population and hold 60% of the wealth. And we all know that they haven't got that amount of wealth by being nice to anybody else. They've stolen it. They've murdered hundreds of millions of people to get that. Through white supremacy, Europeans have direct territorial control over North America, parts of South America, New Zealand, Tasmania, Australia. They have neo-colonial control over some territories like South Korea, Ukraine, obviously, a number of African states. And through economic warfare or subterfuge, some Europeans control resources and territory outside of Europe, like the Swiss with their company Glencore, which controls 70% of the DRC's cobalt, or the French with their company Total Energies that dominates West African oil. Not to mention the Canadians, who are famous in non-Western media for human rights abuses related to mining camps. So what would happen if these Europeans, who have been pillaging the world for hundreds of years, lose control of the things that they've taken and lose the ability to profit off of the evil that they've done? Western Europe would turn into a cultural backwater. It wouldn't be anything. The basis of its wealth is the exploitation of non-European people. And if you remove that exploitation, there's nothing left. Now, some white people might say to me, well, why can't we all just work together? Why can't we have a global system where we all work together for the benefit of humanity? And that sounds reasonable. But I just don't see the incentive for the global majority to work together with the Europeans who have been oppressing them and contributing labor to the Europeans any longer. Like, how much more labor, how many more resources do you think the Europeans deserve after what they've done and are doing? If you were a slave and you just got freedom, would you work together with the slave master to make sure that he had a better quality of life? Of course not. If you've been exploited by billionaires and you win the class struggle, are you interested in making sure that the ex-billionaire has a fine standard of living? Of course not. The Europeans have worked together against what is good for the majority of humanity for hundreds of years. Therefore, what is bad for Europeans is good for the majority of humanity. Kwame Ture said something similar. He said, what is good for the master is bad for the slave, and what is bad for the master is good for the slave. It's the same thing here. And this is why Europeans will never give up white supremacy. It's the same reason the South would not get rid of slavery, because their economy and their way of life is completely dependent upon white supremacy. It's the basis of their culture. It's the unifying force for Europeans. Their economic system is based on it. Their cultures are based on it. Their religions are based on it. From the perspective of the white race, maintaining white supremacy is a matter of survival for them. And so the majority of the world has to stop acting like they're ever going to give it up. The truth is that it has to be combated. It has to be fought. The power has to be taken. And only through taking the power are things going to get better for humanity.
Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon, Africans. I hope you're faring well where you are, and if you're not faring well, please fare well where you are. I know you've heard right now already about the news that the governor of Utah just pronounced some words that were not sitting really well with many of the colored communities, words that did not sit very well with the immigrants, right? Now, the words that the governor himself said were the words that he wished, or rather he prayed, that the person who was responsible for the death of the late Charlie Kirk was not one of them, right? So the word one of them here is equivocal, right? The word one of them here is the main part that people are having problems with, because one of them might mean a lot of things, right? Many black people, many Latinas, many Hispanics are thinking that the word not being one of them would mean the killer, or rather the stereotype of killing being subjected to people of color and people who are immigrants, right? Now let's listen to some of the people who are sharing their complaints, some of the people who are sharing their grievances upon this matter. I shall get back by the end of the video, of course, where we shall also have a deep critical analysis. Let's dive in.
Governor Spencer Cox of Utah just had a speech where he said he has been praying for 33 hours straight that when they caught the person who did this to Charlie Kirk, that he wouldn't be one of us, wouldn't be from his state, wouldn't be from this country. But he says he was wrong and all of his praying did not work. Shocking. Now, let me translate for some of you what he's really saying. He wishes it was somebody more brown and not so white and not from our country and maybe an illegal immigrant or maybe somebody trans so we could pin it on them. But no, this is a direct reflection in the mirror. We don't know anything about Taylor Robinson yet. All that he's 22. We've seen a picture of him and his dad. His dad helped him to turn him in. Of course, he came in safely. Only that is only allowed for mass pun. Somehow they never, they get taken in, no problem. Anyway, I'm digressing. What do you guys think about this? Let me know in the comments. Secret Service Sam out, Samson for president of TikTok.
So now that we know what we know, now that we know for sure what we know, this, and including this.
For 33 hours, I was praying that if this had to happen here, that it wouldn't be one of us, that somebody drove from another state, somebody came from another country. Sadly, that prayer was not answered the way I had hoped for.
What does any of it have to do with HBCUs? I need someone to answer that. I need someone from their side of the aisle to come and tell me, what does any of that have to do with HBCUs? This was the outcome of a MAGA on MAGA crime. This was the outcome of a feud between the Charlie Kirk camp and the Nick Fuentes camp. And I'd be remiss if I didn't remind you, it happened in Utah. Ain't no HBCUs in Utah. Ain't no HBCUs nowhere near Utah. So I'm going to say it out loud, since probably come tomorrow or some point next week, I'm going to lose this account because they're going to go through all of our videos and search for political things and then ban us. So I'm fully mentally prepared to lose this account. So I might as well go out with a scream and a yell, even though I can't, but you know what I mean. Need someone from MAGA to come and explain to me, like a grown-up, explain it to me like I'm 5, what any of this ever or does or did have to do with HBCUs or black people at all. Let me know.
To the Utah governor, why do you need it to be someone else? I mean, we know why, but I just wanted to hear it from you. I hope a reporter follows up on that you were hoping that it was a foreigner or someone that wasn't a part of your community and it wasn't one of you guys. I'm very curious at how we're going to approach that line of questioning. Now, you did mention the death penalty. My question is, are you still about the life?
So the governor of Utah saying that he prayed for 33 hours, that he wished that it was not one of them. He sat there and said that he prayed for 33 hours that the gunman, the alleged gunman, was not one of theirs. He wanted them to be an immigrant so bad, a person of color so bad that he prayed for 33 hours that it was not one of them. I know we all heard what we heard. And come to find out, it was one of him. Clock it. I would do my little finger clip, but I got popsicle in my hand. Clock that. Sir, yeah, it was one of yours. What did you think? Who did you think? Who could you possibly have thought it was? You think black people, brown people, is going to sit up there with a high-power rifle on somebody's rooftop? First of all, we burn in the sun as well. We burn in the sun as well. Okay? Why would we sit on somebody's rooftop to unalive somebody because they have a difference of opinion? If you have a difference of opinion, you have a difference of opinion. We've never stopped people from having a difference of opinion. The only thing that we want is equal rights. That's it. Equal rights. fair treatment, accountability for the things that has taken place. But nah, you say, oh, I prayed for 33 hours that the gunman, the alleged gunman, was not one of ours. My God, today, if they not telling us who they are, and we not believing them at this point, there is something wrong with us. Believe what people tell you the first time.
When Utah's governor said he was hoping it wasn't one of them, well, it was one of y'all, all of y'all. That's what y'all do. It's a lot of that going out here in these streets. And as a black person, I don't want to get hit with the casualties, so I'm going to stay out y'all way.
That Utah governor talked about the shooter not being an immigrant, like that blew his parlay. Like he just had the mortgage bet on the Browns. Like, why was he so disappointed?
Bitch, do you know how stupid you sound? Do you know how dumb you sound? That's black activists or Democrats posing as Republicans to take the heat off of them. The heat off of us for what? We didn't do shit. We did not murk your beloved Charlie Kirk. We didn't do shit. We said we weren't doing shit. When we said that we were on hiatus back in November, we meant that shit. We're not doing shit. And that whole assassination shit, that's y'all. That's y'all. That's some shit y'all do. Y'all do those whole political assassination shit. I think the only one black people had a hand in was Malcolm X, and that was from within his own organization. And it has shit to do with us. The death of Charlie Kirk had absolutely nothing to do with black people. But when he died, the first thing y'all did was start hollering about libs and Democrats. And we all know that y'all start using those words in the place of, or leftists, in the place of the N-word. Instead of saying nigga, y'all say leftists, liberals, and Democrats. Why would we need to take the heat off of ourselves when we didn't do shit? We knew it was a white man that did it. Y'all motherfuckers knew it was a white man that did it. But y'all don't like to look in the mirror for shit. Y'all like to come at us. Bitch. A white man has been arrested. A heterosexual, cisgendered white man has been arrested. Now, there's only roughly about 2 news media outlets that are reporting that he had a transgender partner. And that's Fox and the New York Post. And we don't trust those 2 news sources because they go off of rumors. So bitch, fuck you. Nobody needs the heat taken off of them. We didn't do shit. But y'all run to us anytime anything goes wrong because y'all need somebody to blame. Just because y'all can't look in the mirror. Y'all never look in the mirror. It's you. It ain't us. It ain't never been us. It's always been you. Y'all are the violent ones. Y'all have come into this country being violent. Y'all got this country being violent, and you're trying to maintain this country by being violent. Bitch, fuck you.
I just finished watching a press conference by the governor of Utah, and if you haven't seen it, then you definitely need to go back and watch it. I can't believe the words that came out of this man's mouth. I can, but I can't. He actually said that he prayed that it was not one of them, that he hoped that it was somebody from another country or from another state. He actually said that. That came out of his mouth because he's saying that it would have made it a lot easier because the type of things that happened to Charlie, those things don't happen in Utah, is what he's saying. But I also noticed too that they keep saying that this is political violence. But as far as I know, and from what I've heard about the guy who took out Charlie Kirk, he was actually a number 47 supporter. He was not from the left. He was actually from the right. He was actually one of them. So I don't understand why they keep trying to make this political. Now, as far as I heard, the guy that did this to Charlie, he didn't like him.
As much as I listen to these words, as much as I hear all this, it is becoming more and more evident to me that the United States of America is really, really infested with systemic racism. Imagine this is your governor saying that he wishes that a crime that was committed was not committed by one who looks like him, but rather by someone else. It shows you the mindset. It shows you what people really think of other people in the United States of America, right? This is something which should worry you as an immigrant, as a person of color. You should be worried by it, because if you come to think of it, crime does not choose color, right? Crime is not subjective. Crime is not biased. Crime does not choose the person with whom it infests, right? So anyone can be a killer, anyone can be a rapist, right? Anyone can be anything bad, right? It doesn't have to be a group of people who are always thought of doing a certain kind of act. That itself goes against the law of nature, right? So I want us to continue listening, and then I shall continue sharing with you my feedback.
So I don't know if any of you watched the press conference today. I want to talk about what the governor of Utah said, which was that he really hoped that it wasn't someone from his state. He went on to say that he hoped it was someone from another state. He hoped it was someone from another country. Now, then he goes on to say that the division in the politics needs to stop. He in no way gave a speech today to me that would say, oh, he wants it to stop. I thought my governor was bad. Ugh. Tate Reeves, geez. I thought he was radicalized. When you think about the stuff that he was saying, the governor, his mind shows to me that he is more focused on blaming actual problems here in America on homegrown soil. They are so much more focused on finding other reasons to blame stuff on, just like a narcissist, right? When they know that there is really a problem, they are so much more focused on finding other reasons to excuse the problem. It's a homegrown terroristic act, just like all of the other school shootings. And that's the issue that needs to be fixed. It's not looking for people outside of your state or out of the country. You know, this is here. This is at home. This is something that needs to be addressed again. And one last thing I want to talk about. I looked at a lot of the comments that were going on during that live, and oh my God, so many threats on left-leaners.
I've been praying for the last 33 hours that it was a black or a Mexican or somebody that looks like him right here. But my prayers have been unanswered because it was a straight white male born in Utah, Republican. I was hoping we could evoke the death penalty, but instead I'm gonna ask that everybody pray for this young man. Why he had to look like me and think like me? It should have been one of y'all.
We got him? He's Muslim, right? Black? Latino? At least he's an immigrant. What do you mean he's from Utah? At least he's trans? Guys. Okay, does he use pronouns? What do you mean everybody uses pronouns? At least he's a radical leftist? He's not a leftist? He's not even a Democrat? Guys, is this the same exact person as last time? A different one? How am I supposed to spin this? What do you want me to do? Lord, you know I prayed that it wouldn't be one of ours. Okay, give me a second to think. What would the president do? What would the president do? What would the president do? Okay, I think I got it, you guys. We're going to blame the mental health crisis, and then we're going to gut all the funding to all of the social programs.
If anyone in the sound of my voice celebrated even a little bit at the news of this shooting, I would beg you to look in the mirror and to see if you can find a better angel in there somewhere. I don't care what his politics are. I care that he was an American. We desperately need our country. We desperately need leaders in our country. But more than the leaders, we just need every single person in this country to think about where we are and where we want to be.
I couldn't morals of the right wing, and still this happened.
Charlie Kirk Shooter was far left. No, Charlie Kirk Shooter was far right. Charlie Kirk Shooter was a meme lord. That is what y'all are not understanding about this. Charlie Kirk Shooter exists politically on the horseshoe, like right in the middle of the horseshoe, between right and left. They are so far to the right that they are consequently to the left, and they are so far to the left that they are consequently on the extreme right. So within this group, sexuality is not a big deal. At least there's not as much weight placed upon it as it is with the religious right. There is also a lot of extreme, hardline conservative racism. Some areas have a deep belief in phrenology and biology and feel that the world should be run based off of those terms almost exclusively. There's a lot of variety within this group. But the one thing they come together to agree upon is that nothing means anything and you should do anything for the laws. That's what it means. Unless you have spent time in these online spaces observing them, it is very difficult to understand. But this was predominantly done for the laws. And then the secondary function of it was accelerationism, in order to crumble the societal structure that we currently have now. And that is what it comes down to. And that's partly why people are so conflicted and unable to pin them down. Because no, they're not completely alt-right. And no, they're not completely left. They exist in the middle of the horseshoe of extremism. It's, I would argue, even more dangerous. But the thing about this particular group that has evolved into Reuters over time, they've gone by many, many names in the past. There's a clear cultural evolution of this group. If you study it, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But I don't think a lot of people study this in general. I'm just a weirdo who has a hyperfixation. But at the end of the day, it is Reuters, or this group, that got Donald Trump elected for the laws. Haven't you ever wondered why stupid stuff seems to happen constantly in these good old United States? Haven't you wondered why everything is incomprehensibly moronic, like it was a badly written SNL sketch? That is why. This group is one of the most proficient groups at memeing and propaganda. And in 2016, that was when this particular group truly leveraged their meme lordism and their memeability into propaganda, full blown, and really directed it at getting a specific candidate elected and also spreading certain types of ideologies and belief systems throughout the internet for the laws. Like, this group is highly nihilistic in many ways. Most of the reasoning behind it is for the laws. This is why within this group, there's not as many qualms about sexuality as like what you get on the religious right. That's why there are things within this group that seem both radical right and radical left, because they exist within that horseshoe of extremism politically. And because they're very nihilistic. They almost don't care what they believe in, as long as it's funny. And that's what a lot of it comes down to. Is it funny? Does it accelerate chaos and societal collapse? If it checks those two boxes, that's what they're into. So, this is a really deep and complex topic, and I hope I'm explaining it okay. But that's why nobody can figure out what side of the fence they're on. They're not on any side of the fence. They're right in the middle of the fence, looking over at both sides and laughing at the futility of it.
Now, would you agree with me if I told you that systemic racism actually is a thing which is the parenthood of oppression of the immigrants, the oppression of the marginalized is always systemic racism, right? Because it exists, and from its existence, it paves way for the individual racism to take place through those people whom we see. A black kid can be shot while going to knock on the wrong door, right? A cop can tell a black person to stop, and what happens? They are always accused before interrogated, right? So that's a stereotype, and it's a stereotype, and also it is a fallacy. In as much as it is a fallacy, it's also a cognitive bias, which is like a shortcut to thinking, right? A shortcut to thinking that many times it's not of an advantage, but it is of a disadvantage to many other to other communities who are marginalized, right? Say, anytime a person sees a black person, they think that they are robbers, right? That's maybe someone experienced a robbery that a black person had caused, right? So anytime they see a black person, they see a robber, or maybe the media represented it that black people are robbers, they are this, they are that, right? So anytime they look at them, that is what they see, right? So it shows you how much also the things which people consume are things which deteriorate our thinkings, and they take us away from logical thinking, and they insert us into subjective, stereotypical thinking, right? And this is evident because it has not selected the mind to prey on, right? The cognitive dissonance and the cognitive bias and the fallacy does not choose the mind to infest, right? Imagine this is a whole governor reporting and saying that he hoped that another group of people were the ones responsible for it, right? I'm not saying it is a bad thing that one of their own did a bad action to one of their own, but I want us to look at it from the objective mindset, right? Jane Elliott, who is a white woman and a human activist, says that we don't have races. We don't have races. What we have is a single race without an S, right? Without plural. And that single race, it's called the human race, right? And those are the words of Jane Elliott, an educator as well as a human activist, right? So if we try and look at it in that way, we will understand that those specific words, which now I believe where he is right now is regretting, the governor, should never have come out of his mouth. What happened to Charlie Kirk is very, very unfortunate. Extremely unfortunate. Bad luck does not knock any door, and it can always come to any man's door, anytime, anywhere. Again, another thing is this: death is a gateway. Everyone will eventually die, whether you like it or not, right? But also crime does not choose a tribe, crime does not choose a race, crime does not choose gender. Anyone can be anything in this world. And so what we need to do is just live in harmony. Whatever the governor said, he said it, I believe, out of ignorance, and out of what he always thinks of the black people in the United States of America. I believe that Once you hear this, you will get enlightened and understand that sometimes racism can be just a lack of knowledge that is preying on people's minds. Yeah, maybe you may want to share your thoughts on the comment section. I will be willing so much to listen to your thoughts and ideas. Yeah, share your thoughts on the comment section, and see you in the next video.